You may have heard it said that the manuscripts or handwritten copies of the New Testament contain around 400,000 variants or differences. That's actually more differences than there are words in the New Testament. And so when all of our manuscripts of the New Testament have all these different mistakes and differences, how can we know what the original actually said? There's a relatively recent book called Myths and Mistakes in New Testament Textual Criticism. This book was written by Christian scholars of biblical manuscripts intended to be a loving corrective for Christian apologists who discuss manuscripts. It points out that there are actually more like 500,000 variants. It also points out that the common response to this given by apologists is wrong. See, typically what you'll hear is that these 400,000 or 500,000 variants are because when a single variant is copied into 10 new manuscripts, you have 10 new variants. But the number of 500,000 does not include copies of variants. These are 500,000 unique variants, yet the reason for so many is, nonetheless, because of the large number of manuscripts we have, well over 5,000. More manuscripts mean more opportunities to make new mistakes, but it also means more data to work with. So it's a blessing and a curse, but mostly a blessing. Let me give you a concrete example of how variants actually impact the text of the New Testament. Michael Morrill, in his PhD thesis at the University of Birmingham, collected all of the variants in John 18 and found that there are 3,058 unique variants for that chapter. One chapter. That's over 3.5 variants per word. Sounds kind of wild. And this chapter is quite representative of what you would expect in the New Testament, but keep this in mind. Peter Gurry, who earned his PhD from Cambridge, points out that there are 1,659 manuscripts of John 18, with an average of about 800 words that remain preserved in each of these manuscripts. So with well over 1.3 million words across all the manuscripts of John 18 and 3,058 unique variants across all the manuscripts of John 18, that means your average manuscript has one variant about every 434 words. Of all these variants, 1,360 are nonsensical. Maybe a letter was copied twice or a word skipped over. Those are just obvious mistakes. So if we factor them out, then we are left with your average manuscript of John 18 with about one sensible variant per 781 words. Many of the remaining variants can still be quickly ruled out because they appear in only a few late manuscripts, or you can trace a corruption, etc. I have with me a UBS 5 Greek New Testament compiled by an International Committee of Bible Scholars, which is a standard Greek text used by most modern English translations. This UBS does not just show the Greek text used for each book of the New Testament, but it also shows the different variants of the Greek text in a text-critical apparatus at the bottom. Not every variant is included because there are so many, so the UBS committee curated the variants that would be important for someone to know about if they were going to translate the text. For each variant, they supply significant manuscripts which contain the variant so that you can go in and weigh those manuscripts to reach a decision yourself. But they also supply a rating for how confident they are with the reading they have chosen here in the main text. You turn to John 18, the chapter with those 3,058 variants. All that the UBS committee determined was significant to include was a handful of variants across three different sections, verse 5, verse 13 through 27, and verse 30. Of these three sections, the most challenging for them to sort through was the variance in verse 5. So let's look at that. In verse 4, it says, "A bunch of people came to Jesus, and Jesus said to them, 'Whom do you seek?' Verse 5, one variant would be this. They answered him, 'Jesus of Nazareth.' Jesus said to them, 'I am he.' Another variant would be this. They answered him, 'Jesus of Nazareth.' He said to them, 'I am he.' Another variant would be this. They answered him, 'Jesus of Nazareth.' He said to them, 'I am Jesus.'" 3,058 variants in John 18, but for all practical purposes, this is our most relevant, challenging spot. Folks, I'm not going to lose sleep over this. Yes, there are some spots in the New Testament that are both significant and difficult to deal with. You'll find those in this book. But those are exceptions. In fact, it's worth noting that among all the problems that remain, there is no important theological issue jeopardized by ambiguity in the text of the Bible. I'm not saying that our variants never touch on important verses, but Christian theology does not hang on any single verse. It's upheld by a web of data pulled from all across Scripture. This video was a little technical, but you made it through. Next week, we'll be on a more popular question. Does the Bible contradict science? So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.